There's a bunch of crazy stories written by the Brothers Grimm. And now you're gonna learn all about them, listening to the Brothers Dim.
Students and scholars, friends and relations, welcome to the Brothers Dim podcast, where we discuss the stories collected and written down by the Brothers Grimm in the early 19th century in Germany, including this week's story, number 49, The Six Swans. My name is Phil.
And my name is Mike.
Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Actually getting excited to start working again.
Ooh.
Happy with the little time off I have left. It wasn't a super long fun employment, but it was, again, the first one I've had in over a decade.
You got to take it when you can get it.
Yeah.
My wife is also fun employed for the summer, and it's the first time she has been not working in 23 years straight. She's enjoying it a bit.
Does she got something lined up for after the summer?
Looking for a job. Staying fresh over the summer.
Well, that sounds great. And that aside, let's get to this story, which was a very familiar story this week.
Indeed.
And I think
in a number of ways.
I think it's actually the last story we have of this type, which is ATU type 451, the brothers who were turned into birds.
You think it's the last one?
I think it's the last one of the three, because we had the other show, but it's not my favorite of the three, if I'm being honest. No,
I'm with you on that. Do you have a ranking for this one?
Yeah, I kind of a high C.
That's fair.
My favorite of these ones was the Seven Ravens, which was a much more psychedelic affair, where she was talking to the moon and then the sun. She goes to the glass mountain, meets all dwarves and fantastical creatures and stuff.
That was a hell of a story. Yeah.
Had her little chairs and this meeting with all the people in the stars. I love that one. And Seven Ravens, I'd call an S tier. This one, it has some of the same beats, but characters drop in and out, never to be seen again. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to anything, but has all been written, and it is our task to discuss it. Although nobody actually asked us to do so.
No, but we are here anyway.
If I may, and if I might, I'll run us through the plot of story number 49, The Six Swans.
Do please.
A king is out hunting and gets lost. He meets a witch who says, I can take you out of the woods, but you have to marry my daughter. But she's pretty, though. So king doesn't really want to do that, but he agrees. However, he's worried that she's going to go all normal German stepmom on his kids, of which he has 6 boys and a girl. So he hides them.
I know what's going to happen.
Yeah. He hides them away in a different castle out in the woods. He goes and visits them every day. And the woods are magic of some sort of variety, so you can't go in without getting lost. But the king has a magical ball of yarn, and it shows him the path through the second lost woods. Now, the new queen wonders where her husband goes every day, and eventually just bribes a servant to tell her. They do. She eventually gets the yarn and goes out to the castle. And then they're like, oh, and she was also a witch. So
by the way,
she learned witchery from her mom. So she sees the king's beloved kids. She sews them some cursed shirts, which turn them into swans. No reason given for this, just chaotic evil.
As one does.
As one does. But she only actually gave them to the boys. Didn't even know there was a girl. Next day, the father goes to the castle, asks about where the boys are, and the daughter says a witch came and cursed them into birds. Father doesn't know that it's wife, though, but he's worried worried about the witch. He's worried about his daughter. Decides, okay, I'll bring the daughter home with me. She's safer with me. Daughter is scared, though, so she runs away, and that is the last we see of the dad, the yarn, the original witch, and the witch's daughter / evil stepmom, who was also a witch. Girl goes searching for her brothers. Comes across a hut with 6 beds inside, and she's like, oh, that's great. I know exactly what's going to happen. My brothers are going to come home, so I'll just wait here for them to come home. She hides underneath one of the beds. The 6 swans do come in, and they turn back into human. And she's like, oh, great. The end. Not so fast, dear sister. We can only change to human form 15 minutes out of a day, A, and B, even though there's 6 beds in this little hut, it's not our hut. There's just some robbers live in this hut, so they're gonna kill you.
Love that.
Yeah. Like we just happen to fly in through the window, but you got to get out of here because the robbers are coming, and then we're gonna turn back into swans. She says, well, how do I break the curse? And they say, okay, you got to be completely quiet for 6 years, not say a single word, and then you got to knit us shirts anti-curse shirts to break the curse. And she's like, okay, well then I'll do that. And they're like, great, we'll see you in 6 years. So she stops talking, leaves the hut. Of course, we never see the hut again or hear about these robbers. She eventually climbs a tree, and then a different king and his crew, they see her up there. So they kind of yell at her like, hey, girl, what are you doing in the tree? You okay? She just starts stripping and throwing clothes down to them. Eventually, the king just goes up the tree and gets her, decides she's pretty, so he'll marry her despite her not speaking. Eventually, she gets pregnant, but the king's mom and this girl's mother-in-law steals the baby when it's born, blames the girl, says the queen ate the baby, which I think happened in one of the other stories. I
The
forget.
12 brothers. Yep.
It happened in the 12 brothers. Yeah. King's like, nah, she didn't eat the baby, but said the baby is gone. Two more times, two more
Does
kids.
have that
Eventually,
blood all over her mouth.
evil mother-in-law steals them too, blames the queen. Eventually, the king's like, okay, well, something's happening with the baby, so I guess we'll burn the queen to death at the stake. Luckily, on burning day, it's the last day of the 6 years, so the boys all fly in. She's got the shirts ready, except for one, she didn't finish the sleeve, but she throws the shirts to the brothers. Well, like on the way to the pyre. They all turn human except for the one who was mostly human but had a swan wing instead of an arm because she didn't finish that one sleeve. She starts talking again and says, hey, my liege, all three kids are alive. It's your mom who took them and hid them. So the king says, okay, well, don't burn her alive. I guess they go get the kids, and then they burn the woman who was now at the end of the story listed as just the evil stepmom. Although that's not how marriage works.
Well, I missed that.
Uh,
It was the original evil stepmother.
No, it was then the great joy of the king, they were brought there, the kids, and as punishment, the wicked stepmother was bound to the stake and burnt to ashes, and everyone else lived happily ever after. It was the mother-in-law.
That's weird.
It was the mother. It was the evil. First, it was his evil mother and her mother-in-law, and that is not a stepmother. So it's just
That's weird. I totally missed that, but you're right. I wonder if it's a translation thing. And I also know I think we talked about this in the past. All of these are evil stepmother, and at one point they were all evil mother, right? And there was sort of a push to get away from the evil mother trope and make it an evil stepmother.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was something like that where we didn't catch all the references.
But I digress. Anyway, the end. A lot of stuff they just leave kind of in the wind. First witch, never seen again. Father's never seen again. Ball of yarn, hut in the woods. Second witch, never even spoken of again.
Yeah, it's one of those grim classics where there's all this set up just to get a character in a specific situation, and then all of it's just discarded and swept under the rug.
And then blaming her, saying like she must be eating these kids. I feel like they already had the print type set from the 12 brothers. And although they were like, oh, we printed too many of those pages. Yeah, can we just add this to the end of this story? And it was like the first copy pasta.
In this one, the evil mother-in-law actually smears blood on all around the mouth of the innocent queen, princess, whatever the hell she is.
Yeah,
I don't think that they didn't do that in 12 Brothers, did they?
No, I don't. This that popped out to me as well. Where it's just like, this making it a little.
Imagine waking up, you have blood all over your mouth, your baby's gone. And everybody's like, oh, baby eater, huh?
At that point, you might start wondering. Be like, I had a dream last night. I was eating a huge marshmallow. And when I woke up, I was covered in blood. And my baby was missing.
It's a good thing we're not characters in these stories. How about that?
So the reason why, first of all, that this is the third version of this one that we've read, kind of the idea of you're turning your brothers into birds. There's a couple things going on, but in Europe alone, there's like over 200 versions collected and published in folktale collections,
and it's always varying number of brothers. It's different animals, different causes of transformation. It varies wildly.
This one feels like someone took the 200 stories and fed it into an AI program, and then said, "Okay, now write me a story," and this is what popped out. It's just a random number of brothers, type of bird. Throw in a couple witches, and just this is how it ended up.
Little good old baby eating, Speaking of hundreds of versions, there is an abridged version of this in one of the Witcher novels I saw.
Is it like they're just sitting around the fire and they tell?
I think it's a situation where like he gets called in to correct this situation.
Oh, okay.
He walks in with his big sword. He's like, "Oh, I see what's happened here. brothers have been turned into swans and blah blah blah. And
Was The Witcher novels to start, or I only know the video game?
I believe it went the novels, then the video game, and then our video games, and then the TV series.
Oh, I know. I didn't watch the TV. I watched like the first episode of the TV series, and I was like, this isn't. I don't think I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, we tried to do the second season after the first, and just couldn't keep interest.
Yeah, last time we talked about this story, which again was 6 months ago or so, right? We kind of talked about how these stories are a parable for war.
Right. Yeah.
The girls stay behind, the boys all go to war. Which they kind of did in the last one, the Seven Ravens. Like that one made a lot more sense to me as a pitch, and I liked my pitch for the other one too, which was a war story, but on the focusing on the girl that had to stay home and run things. This one doesn't really fit into that mold that I can figure out.
As you've alluded, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't quite click. They did with previous versions.
Yeah,
I mean it's so how like the classic AI problem is that somebody somewhere in the picture somebody's got 6 fingers, like it can't figure out fingers. There's so many like 6 finger moments in this. Like, okay, so there's a second king of the land that comes along and steals her and knocks her up. It was very confusing. I was like, oh, the king is different king? How many kings are there?
There's a couple different themes that run through this, and one of the themes is being lost.
Right. This dude's very good at getting lost in the woods.
Yeah. So they hit that, and they hit it a couple times. So first the original king gets lost till he gets the new witch wife. Then the kids go to the lost woods where you need the yarn. She wanders away from that castle until she's just in a different kingdom, which is sort of a form of being lost as well.
Yeah. I mean, she just kind of wanders out looking for the swans.
Maybe that's it. If we're sticking with the war parable, maybe she's walked so far she's now in the country that her brothers were warring against. Her brothers are being held captive, right? And she, the princess, is forced to marry the king of the other country. And if she produces an heir of 3, her brothers won't be POWs anymore, except for the one that had a broken arm, right? And of course, if she doesn't produce an heir, off to the burning pits.
It's nice to be back in this world of complete lack of agency for young girls who in the woods who can't talk. So, I'm just gonna come with me, little girl. In fact, there's a line that was gross. It was the huntsmen that were trying to get her down out of the tree, and she throws off her gold chain, as you mentioned, and then like her garters and her bustle or whatever. So she's just down to her shift, and then like the huntsman however, did not let themselves be put off by that, and they just go up in the tree and get her.
Yeah, they're like,
it's just like, oh, okay.
Don't threaten me with a good time, lady.
Right, but you don't have to go up in the tree and take it down.
No. I wouldn't go and try and kidnap her.
That belongs to me now.
It'll be a gift for my liege.
Yeah, and then as you mentioned, like the hut with the 6 beds. Why?
No, they're different. It's 6 beds, but it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it's not our house at all. What are you doing here?
Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Any thoughts on the magic in this one?
The missing left sleeve. I was looking for some kind of significance. I feel like there's something intended there. Well, but I could not come up with anything concrete.
If we're talking about war parables, right? Marrying someone ends the war effectively. Yeah. She has the heirs. She gets married. The war ends, and the brothers come back after everything's kind of settled and calmed down. And one of the brothers comes back with permanent battle damage, missing an arm.
He came back without an arm.
I mean, maybe that. Yeah. if we're doing themes.
Yeah, no, I mean it definitely fits that theme. It's better than anything else I could come up with.
And of course, absolutely none of this is supported in the text, but yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you have any other notes?
No, I don't think I have anything else going on. What about yourself?
I don't have any other notes. I was hoping that you might, but I do have a pitch, if you want to even call it that. I'm not proud of it, but
you sound thrilled by it.
It says, you know what the problem is like the source material is very confusing. So I actually have like something that's not the worst thing in the world, but it veers away from this because it was hard to stick. But anyways, maybe do a war story again, but set it in space. So soft sci-fi. This fleet of ships gets somehow wormholed or warped to this new area where these 2 factions are fighting. And our protagonists have somehow now gotten into the middle of this. We have 7 ships. Original king, he's rear admiral of all these destroyers, whatever. Once in the new area, they kind of split up, try and find out what they can on any nearby planets, and they soon discover they're involved in this war. Rear Admiral's ship is found by one of the groups, wandered too far into their space. He explains who he is. He's like, I'm lost. They say, oh, well, we can help. My hacker daughter, space hacker,
Of
can
course.
navigate you back to wherever you came from. She knows how to do hyperspace jumps, whatever. You just have to take her with you. Captain is unsure, but he agrees. He tries to go back to the rendezvous, but the hacker girl has been hacking, figures out these guys are way more advanced than they are. And the weapons they have could win the war tomorrow. So she sends a message to the other ships, kind of doing a deep fake thing. And the message is, go destroy the city at this coordinates on the planet where this is. And that's our order. We have to do that. So, and run silent the whole time. Don't turn off your radio so that they can't see you. So
yeah.
Rear Admiral figures out what happens. Hacker girl isn't exactly bad, by the way, just, desperate, right? So then it's a race to try and get his guys to not bombard this planet. But then you find out, at least according to the girl, that the other planet, they know that they can't win the war. So they're just going to mutually assured destruct everyone. Blow up 30 different populated worlds, trillions of people. This will also take out the Rear Admiral's fleet. This is their one weapon. Hacker girl and her mom, they found out about this. They're on a planet that would get destroyed, but had nothing to do with this war. And they were just going to try and simply shut the planet down, but they happen upon these, super advanced ships. So waste not, want not.
Mm-hmm.
Stop the war right now. So the Rear Admiral then has to make the decision. Does he believe what the girl is saying to him? And should he let the bombardment go on, or should he stop it? He finally gets to a point where he has the ability to choose. So the mindfuck ending would be, I guess, and he doesn't believe her, but she was correct. And then they use the super weapon and everybody dies. But also maybe use the weapon. I don't. Yeah, again, it's hard to work with this source material.
Yeah,
I haven't quite cracked this one. I like some of the parts in it.
Yeah,
I know I said the word hacker several times, and I know that you are a computer man.
Computer man.
And I am not a computer man, so I don't really know how hacking works.
To be honest, I don't fully know either, but I
What's
can
that?
pretend.
What's that thing? Have you ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
I think I know the term, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
It's this graph, right? And it's kind of got a line in it where it's like your confidence about knowledge of a subject. When you know nothing about it, your confidence is really high. And then you get to a point where it just crashes through the floor of oh, wait, no, I know enough to know that I know nothing. And then
I know
slowly over time, your confidence goes back up.
Yeah.
I'm aware that I'm in that crater when it comes to what computers can do.
Yeah, that's fair. I will posit that definitely takes a different shape. That graph takes a different shape when you're talking to your kids. As your kid gets older, you will find that you will just tell them things that you think sound pretty accurate. I mean, it sounds harmless, but I will definitely my kids will ask me a question and I will just voraciously state what sounds like the truth, and it's absolute bullshit. And sometimes I do it to fuck with them, and sometimes I do it just because it's what I think probably is accurate, and they won't challenge me on it.
Can you get away with that? I think you could get away with that a lot easier back in the day.
But yeah, totally.
Now, don't your kids have cell phones? Can't they just check?
Yeah, no, totally. And we did this morning over breakfast. I got challenged on something, and I think it's partially a dad thing.
Okay.
We'll see if it surfaces in you.
I'm sure that it will. I'm sure that I'm going to just lie like crazy to this kid. Not in any sort of malicious way, but just when if it serves the purposes of humor.
Right.
But anyways, okay. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, then if you don't have anything else and I do not have anything else, I think we can probably call it. Mike, is there a way for anyone to get into contact with us if they wanted to?
Indeed. If you want to reach out, we are at brothersdimpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at brothersdim and on X, formerly Twitter, at brothersdimpod.
We look forward to hearing from you all. This has been story number 49, The Six Swans. Sleep tight, and we will see you next time.
See ya.